one of the important things in having Navajo weavings is taking care of them. And today I want to discuss a little bit about moths. Everybody's freaked when it comes to wool and moths, and I can't blame them. I'm one of those people too. One of the things we do in our own gallery is when we get new weavings in, we often will take the weavings, wrap them in a plastic after we've crinkled them up, and freeze them. The reason is, if it does have moths, this will hopefully kill any of the larvae off, as well as the eggs. Now, the most important thing to do when you're freezing a Navajo rug is, one, don't fold it nicely. Take it and wrap it in a little ball where there's lots of air. The key with the air is the more air that circulates through the weaving, the colder it will get and the more likely it will kill any of the larvae. Once you've frozen it for, say, 48 hours, you can take it out, let it thaw out, and then if you really want to be safe, and especially if you've seen moths, is that you can go and refreeze it again. That way any of the eggs that might have hatched secondary to the freezing process will also kill the larvae. Now, what do the moths look like? Well, they're not what you normally think of when you see a moth. They're not big moths that are floating around. They're very small, dainty little moths. When you see this fluttering of moth wings that's no longer than about 1/4 of an inch, that's a problem. One of the other things you can do is when you look at the Navajo rugs, if it does have moth infestation, what will happen is that it leaves a little cocoon-looking type of area. This is where the larvae is eating your weaving and being very happy. So when you see that, you have an active larvae and you can actually scrape it off. Get rid of the larvae, then freeze the textile. The other thing you want to look for is what we call moth grazing. Now, it's very subtle sometimes, and when you see this, it's a very bad sign and you need to freeze your textile or even have it cleaned. It's fine to have a rug that has moth infestations and have it cleaned. It's a great way to try to get rid of it. What I do not recommend on many levels is mothballs or naphthalene. The reasons are, one, if the naphthalene or mothball actually comes in contact with the textile, it can change the color, especially on very vibrant colors. Two, if it's going to kill moths, it's not something that I want on me. I don't want to inhale it. I don't want to touch it. It's basically a poison. So anytime I have this, I really would recommend, if you've gotten a Navajo textile that smells like mothballs, is to, one, air it out, two, maybe even have it cleaned, and three, just don't use them. I'm not a big fan of professional moth implications, chemicals put on your textiles. It's better to freeze them. When you do freeze them, remember, don't put them directly in the freezer without putting a bag there. And if they are for some reason damp, do not freeze them. You need to have it again taken to a professional cleaner at that point. The key in looking at Navajo weavings is, one, to look for moth infestations. Two, if you see them flying around, you've got a problem and you need to freeze all your textiles and your clothes.